Dub Nation, for everything now. If you're tired of seeing rumors that never see change, promises that die on Twitter, and Curry's window closing without any real movement, this video is for you. Because what's leaked in the last few hours isn't noise. It's a deal involving 3 teams, several players, and a change that could turn the Warriors' game around once and for all. You already know the pain. The difference is that today there is a clear path, and I will show you exactly how this trade can be the solution this team needed. Before I show you who's in, who's out, and why this 3-team agreement could change everything, do the following quickly. Subscribe to the channel now, because with each new update, this type of news changes in minutes, and you'll want to receive it first. Leave a like to strengthen our community and for YouTube to understand that you want more Warriors here, and activate the bell, because when the bomb goes off, I post it and you don't miss anything. And now stay with me until the end, because in the next few seconds I'm going to explain the domino effect of this trade. And the detail that almost no one is noticing could be exactly what puts the Warriors back into the fight for real. When news like this starts to circulate, it's not just another rumor lost in the middle of the feed. It's the kind of information that forces any Golden State Warriors fan to stop, take a deep breath, and ask themselves, is it now or never? Because everything involving Stephen Curry, the end of an era, and the real chance of another title needs to be analyzed carefully, without exaggeration, but also without naivety. What is at stake here goes far beyond an ordinary exchange. We are talking about the concrete possibility of an agreement involving 3 franchises, multiple important players, and one of the most dominant names in the current NBA. A movement of this size does not happen by chance, nor does it appear out of nowhere. It arises from a specific context: urgency, internal pressure, and a window of time that is rapidly closing. The Golden State Warriors know exactly where they are standing. The franchise understands that Stephen Curry is not eternal, that each season weighs more on the body, and that there is no longer room for long projects or timid bets. The clock is ticking, and the board finally seems willing to act like a team that wants to win now, whatever the cost. It is in this scenario that Giannis Antetokounmpo's name begins to gain real strength behind the scenes. Not as a distant dream, not as irresponsible speculation, but as a possibility that is, in fact, being discussed. Recent reports indicate that the Milwaukee Bucks have not ruled out talks. On the contrary, he's listening, evaluating, and, most importantly, observing what the Warriors can offer in terms of assets, draft picks, and future flexibility. And when a team starts hearing proposals for a player of this caliber, it's because something has changed internally. Milwaukee understands that keeping Giannis at any cost may no longer be the only option. The right package could redefine the future of the franchise, and that's exactly what Golden State is trying to explore. But no negotiation of this magnitude comes without sacrifices. To bring in Giannis, someone important needs to leave. Contracts need to match, and the parts involved are not secondary. This is where the conversation gets uncomfortable for many fans. Draymond Green, one of the pillars of the dynasty, appears as a key piece in this possible deal, not just for performance, but for financial fit. If the Warriors really want to keep other strategic names out of the trade, Draymond becomes almost inevitable in the package. And interestingly, there is a destination where it would make immediate sense: Los Angeles. The possibility of Draymond Green wearing a Lakers jersey alongside LeBron James is not just an internet idea. It's a logical fit within a 3-team scenario. For Milwaukee, Green would not be a technical priority, but a redirectable asset, someone who could generate draft picks or expiring contracts. For the Lakers, he represents intensity, defensive leadership, and a direct connection with LeBron that needs no explanation. Meanwhile, the Warriors would receive not only Giannis, but also other complementary pieces that would help build a functional roster around Curry. Names like Gary Trent Jr. enter this type of structure as necessary adjustments to balance the rotation. On the other hand, Milwaukee would require young talent and future capital. Jonathan Kuminga appears as a practically inevitable name in these conversations. Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, first-round picks spread out over the next few years, future swaps. It's the price of betting everything on the present. And here comes the big question that divides fans. Is it worth it? Sacrificing practically all future flexibility, giving up promising young people and living on minimum contracts in the coming years in exchange for 2 or 3 seasons of Curry and Giannis together? The answer isn't simple, but the Warriors seem inclined to say yes. The logic is clear. Banners don't rise with potential, they rise with stars. And the combination of Stephen Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo, even with a thin squad around them, would immediately place Golden State among the main favorites for the title. There is also a guarantee, at least so far, that Jimmy Butler would not be part of this deal. The board would have assured the player that he remains in the project, even after the serious knee injury that ended his season. Butler, who suffered a ruptured anterior cruciate ligament, is in the rehabilitation process and has the full support of the franchise. Keeping Butler out of the trade has important symbolic weight. It shows human and also strategic commitment. A healthy Butler next season, alongside Curry and Giannis, completely changes this team's ceiling. But promises during the trade deadline are worth less than shares. If Butler doesn't leave, someone needs to leave. And Draymond Green, despite all his history, understands this better than anyone. The player himself has already made it clear that he doesn't lose sleep over rumors. For him, this is part of the business. A mature stance, but one that does not erase the emotional impact of a possible goodbye. Inside the locker room, the atmosphere is one of controlled tension. More experienced players recognize that this period is mentally exhausting, especially for younger players who are still trying to establish themselves in the league. Uncertainty weighs heavily. Everyone knows that when a star asks for movement, no one is completely safe. At the same time, there's a curious feeling of relief when the deadline passes. Regardless of the outcome, the cast finally knows who they will count on for the rest of the season. Until then, the focus needs to be on daily work, on controlling what is within reach. As if all this wasn't enough, the Warriors are still dealing with a series of physical concerns. Stephen Curry recently had a knee scare, diagnosed as patellofemoral syndrome. Nothing serious, according to Steve Kerr, but enough to require caution. Curry's every minute matters. Jonathan Kuminga, in turn, continues to recover from a bone injury. The signs are positive, there is progress, but there is still no clear return date. His absence weighs heavily, especially considering that he may be playing his last games in a Warriors shirt. And then there is Seth Curry, who arrived to add shooting and depth, but was barely able to be on the court due to a sciatic nerve problem. The expectation is that he will return after the All-Star break, which could give the rotation an important breather. All of this connects. Injuries, pressure for results, trade rumors, windows closing. The Golden State Warriors aren't just evaluating a trade. He's deciding what story he wants to tell about the end of the Curry era. Brian Windhorst got right to the point when he stated that today, the Warriors seem to be the favorites in a possible trade for Giannis. Not because it's easy, but because you're willing to go further than others. 4 first-round picks, multiple swaps, young talent. Few teams can or want to pay that price. And perhaps that is exactly what makes this possibility so real. The Warriors understand that the future can be rebuilt later. Now, the focus is on giving Stephen Curry another legitimate chance to compete for a title. Not symbolic, not emotional, real. The ultimate question isn't whether Giannis would make the Warriors better. This is obvious. The real question is, how much is Golden State willing to lose tomorrow to try to win today? And by all indications, the answer is becoming clearer and clearer. And that's exactly why this isn't just another trade rumor, it's a moment of decision that could define the direction of the Golden State Warriors for the next few years. If this agreement gets off the ground, nothing will be the same again. If it doesn't happen, the message has already been given. The Warriors are willing to risk everything to give Stephen Curry the last big chance to raise another banner. Now I want to hear from you. Would you make this switch? Would you give up your future in exchange for another immediate title? Because this answer can separate fear from ambition. And if you want to continue following all the updates, behind the scenes, confirmed rumors, and every move that could change this franchise, the next video is already waiting for you. Click now on the Golden State Warriors News Today playlist, which is in the pinned comment, and dive right into everything that's happening with the Warriors, because this story is far from over, and whoever follows it to the end will understand it first.